Session today. Just going to confirm everyone can hear me online. As you join, curious to hear, just to check in right after lunch, first session on a Monday afternoon. How's everyone doing? What's been your level of joy over the past week? You have 4 graph options, and you can choose an option and just let me know with hand in the air or in the Zoom chat. How is everyone doing so far? Some 3s, got some 1s. I didn't know anything was available except for 2 as the only way to live in life. Plenty of more bad jokes coming out through today's session. Well, I'm excited to connect with everyone today and hear about your experience learning about AI. My name is Joey Lehrman. I work with Community Learning Partners. We essentially provide professional development and project management support for adult ed organizations. So I'm excited to talk today about the work we've been doing for the last couple of years, leading AI workshops and cohorts, and what we've learned along the way. I see some friendly faces here that know I start all of my sessions with a tech tip as a way to kind of nurture digital literacy. It's one of my favorite routines with students as well, as students go around and share tech tips with each other about different ways to use digital tools. So obviously our tip today will be about artificial intelligence. Has anybody used AI to translate to another language or to convert to a different reading level perhaps? So what can be kind of puzzling about that is all of the text that you put in is just text. How does AI know what the prompt is and what the content is to translate? It's usually pretty good at figuring it out, but if you find that it's struggling, I'd suggest this tip, which is to wrap the content that you want to translate in triple quotes. This is called a delineator, and this is what tells AI that this is the prompt and this is the content to translate. And so I'll give it directions. For example, can you translate this passage into Spanish, Arabic, and French? And that's my prompt. And then I'll use triple quotes to wrap that text. And so it knows that here is the prompt and here is the text that I want to translate. I'll encourage you today that if you hear anything that seems interesting or worth trying, stop listening to me and run with it. I'm going to try to cover a lot of content today. And that was one of my favorite pieces of advice at a conference a few years ago, which is like, when inspiration strikes, just let it flow. So don't feel bad if you stop listening to me. For example, if you want to open a chatbot right now, like ChatGPT, and try these triple quotes, please feel free. We're going to get into a session shortly, but I'm curious to hear before we do, does anyone have a quick reaction to this question? Like, as you've learned AI, what's been effective for you? What have you found as a helpful way to build AI literacy? Yeah.
You can try it if you spend some time.
Yeah.
If you give it your text, for example, you can make it right stuff that's more correct.
Awesome. So if I understand correctly, just try it. Give it feedback. See what you learn through trying it. I think that's probably the single best piece of advice because these tools are improving so quickly. Like the features today are way better than they were 6 months ago. And the best way is just to see what's possible and give it a try. Yeah, please.
Modifying the questions when it doesn't give you exactly what you're looking for. So by the second or the third one, you get what you're.
Yeah, that's a fantastic one. So obviously with Google search, we can't really give it feedback if it gave us bad results. You can with AI. So if you don't like the prompt or you don't like the response, let it know why, give it specific feedback and see what you can do with it. Any other quick reactions?
You can tell it what kind of prompt you're wanting to write the prompt for you.
Yes, have the AI write the prompt for you. That's an awesome one. And people online saying similar things, just diving in and using it. Okay, so on our agenda for today is I'm going to lead through one of our sample workshops. So I want you to imagine that you're an adult educator, which I anticipate will be easy for all of you to do, and that you are attending this workshop. My goal today is not necessarily here's how to use AI. It's more about here's how to introduce AI. If those of you want to bring this back and share it with your colleagues, here's some strategies that we tried. So I'll share my theory of action, and then I'll kind of walk us through a workshop. But please bring a critical eye. I will establish at the outset that I do not believe we have best practices yet. These tools are too new. So I found some things that I think are effective, but I'm sure all of you have as well. Like, we're all teachers, we're all students, we're all kind of figuring this out together. So I'm very curious to hear from you throughout the session as we kind of explore what this world of artificial intelligence can look like. So very briefly, my theory of action, I'm not going to necessarily talk through all these items. I'll put this slide deck in the Whova app after so you can check it out. But I just very much believe that teachers are busy, and it's critical if you're going to introduce a new tool that you showcase ways it can be used today. How do we solve problems for teachers today, especially in adult ed? Most people are part-time. Most people are dealing with any number of challenges in their classroom. So it's not necessarily that theory isn't important. It's just going to be difficult for people to get their hands dirty and try things out if it's not helping them solve problems today. And it's essential that we are ruthless about how we spend time with teachers, because again, everyone is super busy. I also very much believe that AI is changing quickly, and so we can't rely on fixed formulas. And I'll show you an example of what I mean by that in a minute. And functionally, AI can be used in so many different ways. So it's critical that it's not me standing up here and saying, this is how to use it. Let's all use it together and talk to each other about what we're learning along the way. And I'll come back to this in a minute. Okay, has anybody seen a formula like this that says, this is how you're supposed to use AI? You are supposed to first introduce a persona, talk about the objective, who the audience is, what the context is. Anyone seen a formula like this? Yeah, awesome. So this was essentially what was established as best practices within the first 6 months of ChatGPT coming out. And then they released a new model. And when they released the new model, they emphasized that you should avoid giving overly specific instructions. So I look at this and I'm like kind of overwhelmed. I have to give it all these details in order to write a good prompt. But then the models changed and they're like, wait, don't give it a lot of context. So there's a difference here between inference and reasoning models, and we can get into that later if it's helpful, but just Google it or ask ChatGPT what the difference is. The point in sharing this is that when talking about AI, I think it's critical that we avoid fixed formulas and encourage curiosity, exploration, and peer learning, because these models are changing so rapidly. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's get started with the actual session. So very curious, what can't AI do?
Dishes.
Clean my car.
Dishes. Clean my car. It can't read your mind.
Yeah.
We get a response there. It can't read your mind yet. Other reactions? I think I missed one.
Emotional experience.
Yeah.
Emotional experience.
I mean, directly, I guess.
Not directly. Any other reactions? And remember, I don't have the answers here, and don't look to me as like if that's right or wrong.
Just build off of that, I like the messaging or the delivery of information, it's not following social linguistic norms, so it's just very robotic currently. But yeah.
Understanding social and cultural nuance in how it interacts.
But you can tell it to do that. You can say you are a 12th century French hip art historian, analyze this painting, and it will.
Maybe I'm not proud of me, that's all.
And also a shout out to Julia online saying it can't be a substitute for real relationships. So thank you for engaging online as well. Okay, so throughout today's session, I'm just going to showcase different ways that I use AI, give you all a chance to try it as well, and we'll see what we can learn. So I'm going to pop into ChatGPT. This is probably my most used prompt, and I'll just copy it in. Explain the difference between real and nominal wages. Align your response with the Plain Language Act. If anyone is familiar with the Plain Language Act, this is a federal piece of legislation that talks about how materials need to be presented. Essentially, it's telling ChatGPT that I want simple, clear information. So those of you that are looking for ways to present materials for adult learners, I'd encourage you, go to the Plain Language Act website and check out. They have a lot of good examples. But ChatGPT also knows what it is. And so it's already giving me a response with clever use of bolding, a bulleted list to organize information. And so anytime I'm trying to simplify materials, I'll just say, align your response with the Plain Language Act, and I'll add that on to the end of my prompt. You could obviously kind of do a follow-up and say something like, rewrite at a 4th, 7th, and 10th grade reading level, and that'll kind of adapt it into different levels of complexity based off of that. Either prompt can be effective. Obviously, it's nice to have different levels of complex text if I'm dealing with a diverse audience of students and I want different levels of rigor. But my go-to one is align your response with the Plain Language Act. One more quick demo here, and I'll do it in the same thread. I'm a director for a comprehensive program. We're starting a project to digitize our intake process. I want to build a project plan. What questions do you have for me to help build that plan? So I do a lot of project management. And instead of me feeling like I need to feed AI with all of the content at the outset, I'm going to ask it to prompt me. What questions do you have for me? And you can see, okay, like what kind of problems are you trying to solve? What does your current intake process look like? Who are the stakeholders in it? And I would then go through one by one and start to answer these questions to give it that context. And as a shout out to the tip before, as an extension of that, based on this context, can you draft a good AI prompt to generate this plan? And so now it's going to write a prompt for me. So if you're sitting there unsure of how to get started with AI, use 2 suggestions here. Ask it to ask you questions. It's going to interview you for the context it needs. Or as we talked about before, have it write the prompt for you. I could then copy and paste this, edit it a little bit, and then feed that prompt in, and then have it generate a project plan. And so as you're sitting there unsure of where to start, just get started prompting it and see what you learn along the way. Ask it to ask you questions, and then kind of proceed with that context. Okay, we're going to play a little game. I'm going to show some images on screen. And I want you to tell me if the image is generated by AI or is an authentic image taken by people. Image number 1, AI or not AI?
No.
Yeah, I can't tell if real is the right word because like something generated by AI real? I'm not sure what that. So I just go with AI or not AI. So this is a real picture. This is the Apple headquarters in California. Picture number 2, AI or not AI?
Right.
This is an AI generated image. It is completely fake.
If it looks too, the first one looked much more elaborate and complex and fantastical, and so that's how I knew. If it looks too good, then it's probably real, and this one looks really normal, so it's probably AI.
I like it. We're gonna try to stump you. Next picture, AI or not AI? Everybody likes some good avocado toast. This is not AI. That's a real picture. AI or not AI?
Yeah.
Everyone's just like, the last one was not AI, so this one probably is AI. This is an AI generated image. AI or not AI?
Oh, real.
This is an AI generated image. AI or not AI? No, that's actually just my dog. She's the best. Lastly, AI or not AI? Everybody's kind of seen this example across the internet. The first generated image or video from Sora, ChatGPT's image generator. I like that game just to kind of engage people, show the potential of what AI can do. We're going to continue on, and if I'm going too fast, let me know. I'm going to try to condense a lot of content in here, put the slide deck in Whova after, and so forth. Okay, so second, we can analyze PDFs with AI. So there's 2 things I'm going to do here. First of all, here I have the College and Career Readiness Standards. It's a 150-page PDF. I assume all of you have read it, cover to cover.
It's excited.
In case you haven't, I'm going to upload the PDF from my computer. Now I can ask questions about it. So for example, review this PDF, then update the lesson plan to reference specific standards from the document, include at least 3 standards. I have a sample lesson plan over here that I'm going to copy onto my clipboard. And notice that I will wrap it in triple quotes, so it knows that this is the content. It is going to now evaluate my lesson plan and pull out 3 standards that it aligns to based off of a quick review of a 150-page PDF. This one's a personal favorite for me because as a teacher, I've always had administrators telling me, hey, you need to submit your lesson plans. It's got to be standards aligned. And I'm like, I have a classroom activity. It's backwards planned with the assessments that I want to use. I don't really care too much about standards, but sometimes I do have to submit that lesson plan for compliance purposes. And here it's now going to pull up. Maybe I don't like this, so I'll prompt it, I'll query back and ask it to find other ones. Go into the PDF, use Control F and quickly scan to make sure it's found something that's authentic. But this can be done with any PDF. So often Octave will release these annual reports showing data. I'm just uploading those to ChatGPT now and asking questions to pull out the data that I'm looking for. So yes, AI can work with a PDF. Okay, now we're gonna kind of imagine we are students in an adult ed classroom. So now everyone kind of puts their student hats on, and we're gonna walk through a sample lesson. So what do you notice in this picture? What's happening in this activity? Okay,
Testing email.
going on a field trip, kids' school, looking for chaperones.
Need volunteers.
So I want you all to imagine you're a part-time employee. You see this notice and you're like, yeah, that sounds great. I'd love to chaperone my kid's field trip, but I have a work conflict. I want to ask for a shift change. So you're going to ask for the day off and you need to write an email to your supervisor. Everyone take 30 seconds. Don't use AI and just try to write that email right now. If you have pen and paper, it's fine. If you have a phone and you want to type in docs.new or blankslate.io, it's a cool way to jot notes in a browser. But I'm genuinely saying to everybody right now, as if you were asking for a day off, write this email. If you want to draft it in your mind, that's completely okay too. Those of you that have a smartphone or a laptop, feel free to get it ready because we're going to pop into ChatGPT in a minute. So you're writing this email, asking for a day off so you can chaperone kids' field trip. Take one more minute. Those of you that are ready, so I see some wandering eyes pop up. ChatGPT bought this domain, so it's really easy to remember. You can go to chat.com, and about, I don't know, actually probably a year ago now, they took off the login requirement. Anyone have students that may struggle to remember passwords? How awesome that we can use ChatGPT without needing to log in. So on your phone, feel free to navigate to chat.com, or if you're on a laptop, that'll work as well. Now try prompting AI with the exact same instructions. I've even given you a sample prompt on screen. Feel free to adapt it if you'd like. Imagine you're a part-time retail employee. You want to request a day off so you can chaperone your child's field trip to the zoo. Write a short professional email asking your supervisor for the shift change. So I would encourage you, if you're sitting there with a phone, open your browser, go to chat.com and try prompting it with that. If you're not really sure how to navigate on your phone, talk to a neighbor. I'm sure someone around you can kind of point you in the right direction, or raise your hand and I'll pop over. everyone starting to see responses in chat.com? Take 30 more seconds. Remember, if anything inspires you today, stop listening to me and just run with it. Okay, so if you're still working with it, that's completely okay. But I'm curious to hear how it went. But what I want you to do is talk to a neighbor for a minute. Think about a couple questions. First of all, how did it compare in general? Beforehand, you wrote, maybe jotted some notes down on a piece of paper to write that email yourself. Then you had AI generated. Like, what do you think as you compare the two messages for clarity, tone, level of professionalness, like any of those metrics, compare to the email you wrote to the one that ChatGPT wrote? What do you think? What do you like? What do you not like? What would you change? If you would change something, did you try giving it any feedback? As an extension, feel free to also talk about the second question. Like if you were to lead an activity like with students in class, 15 minutes warm up where they write an email by hand and then they have ChatGPT, then they compare and contrast it, talk about the difference between the two. What do you think about that kind of activity with students? What benefits might they see? What challenges could they encounter? So everybody turn to a neighbor, say hello, talk about it for 2 minutes, and we'll come back together. Let's come back together. Curious to hear from everybody now. It's so jarring to clap at people. Okay, let's bring it back together. Joey teaches fully online now and has no ability to stand in front of a classroom anymore and get people's attention back. So thank you for coming back together. I'm curious to hear, what did y'all talk about? What do you think? What do you like? What do you not like? Would it go well with students? What kind of challenges? Any reflections from your conversation?
did a different session on AI and it prompted this thought is that you need to have the knowledge first to make the comparison. So unless you know what you are expecting from a professional email, how can you then put something in ChatGPT, look at it and say, oh yeah, this is that.
It sounds great. It sounds great if you don't know anything about what you're talking about. It always talks about what
Right,
you're-
right. So that explicit instruction piece, the model, some examples before you have the students interacting, engaging with ChatGPT or whatever. I don't think.
Thank you for sharing. Other reactions? What did y'all talk about? Got some comments online. Saying in my case, it was better, provided the benefits of doing the chaperone. Once one person saying it was better once I simplified it. So it started a little too formal and wordy. So I asked it to revise it. Seen some comments in reply to that. Any other reactions?
Just that you can change the level of casualness or professionalism. And if you don't like it, you can hit click and do it again and again.
Yeah, sure. Give it feedback. Tell it to change the tone, the style, the length, the level of detail, the level of complexity. Yeah.
I like how, like, you first have them wrestle with it, and you like, instead of just like giving them this tool, it's like, first you need to really like struggle with it and work on your own production of the language before you use this tool.
Yeah. Struggle through it, like
Yeah.
productive tension.
Yeah, so I think there's understanding that it's a tool and not a crutch.
Yeah. Cool. Please.
For the purpose of resume writing or cover letters, I always warn them once we publish stuff, their original version, to make sure that they go in there and clean out the stuff that it made up that really doesn't represent them. Take out the lines, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, at very few points in a classroom setting do we ever tell students not to check their work. Like if they're looking for information on YouTube or Wikipedia, or if my brother calls me and says, hey, did you hear what happened? I'm not just gonna automatically assume it's true. Like in no part of our world do we just like accept things on face value or teach students to. I don't think the conversation with AI has actually shifted that. Whether you're looking for information on Google or talking to a friend or talking to a teacher, verify it. Because we humans are, doing our best to figure out what makes sense in this world. Did anyone feel like they enjoyed hearing perspectives from the person talking to them? Cool. So I'm going to pause here. I'll talk about this more at the end, but like, it's one key strategy here is everyone here is an expert because you all know your students better than I do. And so the way I use AI in my classroom might work for me, and you might need to adapt it a little bit. Maybe you want to introduce what it means to write a professional email first. I don't know. And I think that's critical about how we kind of facilitate these workshops is like, genuinely, we are not the experts here. We're all kind of exploring, and it's critical to create space where we talk to and learn from each other. Okay, so in between each little activity, we do another showcase. This one is probably my favorite one because I am not a coder. So I'm going to ask it to write a Google Apps script that sends a mail merge. Anyone know what a mail merge is? It's actually super old technology. It's been around since like the original Microsoft, like Word and whatnot. Mail merge allows you to send emails in bulk, but you can personalize each message. Very useful tool. You can build a Google Apps script that allows you to kind of deploy that tool yourself for free. There are paid versions, but why not just build your own? So I'm telling it to write a Google Apps script and give me clear instructions for how to deploy the script manually from Google Sheets. So one by one, it is now telling me what it's writing, where these placeholders go, what the script does. I'm going to kind of allow it to generate, but I've already built this, and I'm going to show you how this tool works because I use it all the time. It's telling me how to prepare my Google Sheet so I know what that data should look like. Once again, I'm not a coder. It's telling me how to kind of structure my Gmail drafts so I know what brackets to use, what placeholders to use for unique names. And now it is starting to write this script. Easy button in the top right to copy this. So I'll just show you that this script exists. I genuinely use it all the time. So here, I'm going to open up a spreadsheet and show you two things. First of all, you'll notice that when this script opens, it's going to open up a third menu item. Slowly it will. It's called Mail Merge, and I'm going to send emails. This works to send everyone I have listed in column A, and these are the drafts from my Gmail folder. So I can just choose the draft that I want to send, click send the email, and I'll show you that the script is written here. It's taken some time to edit it a little bit, but those of you that do data analysis, or those of you that have routine administrative tasks and not too sure how to use Excel or Google Sheets, or you want to automate some things, you might be surprised at how good you can get at building and deploying little applets like this that help you save time. So instead of paying for a service, I now just built my own Mail Merge, and I use this almost daily now in different projects I'm working on to simplify the process of sending custom emails, personalized emails. There's no limit to it because it's run through my Gmail account. And so if you're not sure how to deploy it, like you have ChatGPT write it, but you're not sure how to kind of build it or deploy it, what might you do? Ask, how do I deploy this? Anytime you're not sure if AI can do it, just ask, just try it. I found in the early days, the only limiting factor in my use of AI was my own belief that it couldn't do it. And I am continuously impressed that it actually can do a lot of the things that I ask it to do. So part of it is just this mindset shift of being like, hey, I'm not sure, I'm just going to ask. So build a script with AI. Okay, so hopefully you're still at chat.com in your phone. I'm going to walk us through 4 quick prompts that you can give a try on your phone, and we'll see what we think about them. Once again, chat.com, no login required. What a useful feature for our adult learners. Okay, so let's imagine we're a teacher and we are writing directions for an adult education student project on a specific topic. Choose any topic you want. The topic I usually go for when I demo this is like personal budgeting and finance, because I enjoy teaching those subjects with adult learners. But say you're a social studies or a science or a math or an ESL teacher, replace specific topic with anything you'd like. So write directions for an adult education student project on a specific topic. Include steps, materials, and submission guidelines. Everybody take 30 seconds, prompt it, see what you get. Okay, those of you that are ready, our second prompt is on screen. Stay in the same thread so it has the context of what you're working on. Create a rubric for grading the project. Use criteria like accuracy, completeness, and creativity. Feel free to edit that. Use other criteria if you'd like, or modify the prompt a little bit. Feel free to kind of go in any direction that might actually be helpful for your program or your classroom. Key here, stay in the same thread because it'll remember what it's talked about already. See some people looking up, so maybe try a third prompt, like peer reviews, draft questions for peer feedback on clarity, completeness, and originality. Again, feel free to adjust that criteria or whatever kind of specifics you might be looking for. So kind of one by one in the same prompt or in the same thread, continue prompting. In the spirit of time, one final prompt. Write self-reflection questions on challenges, learning, and areas for improvement. In an actual workshop, we would take much more time than we are today. I know we're racing through this, so I appreciate your patience. And again, stop listening to me if you'd like, and just kind of play around with AI yourself. It'll be more engaging, I promise.
Have it on your phone, you can just ask the question and literally read the thing and it'll.
Voice mode exists if you have the ChatGPT app on your phone. You can just talk back and forth.
And you've given up typing a long time.
What's that?
You're giving up on typing now.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah,
make
yeah.
the phone work with the computer at this point.
Yeah, exactly. There's a very cool video actually of two AI bots that are talking to each other and they realize that they're both AI bots.
Oh, really?
And then they change into a language that they can speak much more fastly. If you hang out after, I'll try to find it. It's crazy to watch. Like, how often are we calling customer service and just talking to AI and not realizing we're talking to AI?
Well, I just had somebody come in, look at this project somebody wants to do. This, I opened it up and I'm like, this is AI. generated
Yeah.
At 100,000%. It's so
Yeah.
generic.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody take 2 minutes. Turn to your neighbor. What did you think? Did it generate useful content? Did it give, was it too generic? Did you try giving it feedback? Did you like it? And of course, everybody online, we're curious to hear from you as well. Useful or not?
Yeah.
What's that? I'm gonna model that in a minute. Wow. Very cool. Yeah. Okay, what y'all think? Clap at people. What y'all think? What
Learning curve is huge to be able to use the tools.
learning curve, not huge to use the tool. Other reflections, what y'all think?
Ready to print out, you probably.
Ready to print out and use? Yeah, please.
So I teach CPR, so I added to my prompt to please, make it specific to, American Heart Association standards, and I did a really good job.
Nice. So what I heard is aligning with specific standards. You're giving it additional context to help it understand the larger goal. Other reactions, reflections. Useful, not useful? Did you try giving it feedback? Was it good feedback? Would you copy and paste and print? Does it need some tweaks? Cool. So, AI sprints. We usually spend 2 to 3 minutes, talk to each other in between to see what we're kind of learning along the way. But this is a short session, so we're not having as many conversations. Okay, showcase healthcare. So I'm going to pull up on screen. Here's a copy of some results I got from my annual blood work. Gonna pop in. I'm gonna paste it. And then give it a prompt. What do my test results show? What questions should I ask my doctor as a follow-up? Write 3 in simple language. Your test results mostly look good. Gosh, that's an ominous use of the word mostly.
One area.
One area to pay attention to. And 3 follow-up questions from my doctor. There's examples, news stories you can find of AI analyzing results and finding things that doctors have been missing. What a potentially useful tool for adult learners. Like when I'm at the doctor, I'm just like, oh, you're the doctor. You obviously know. But like in any domain, humans make mistakes. In healthcare especially, doctors are busy. The system is overwhelmed. How useful for students to be able to pop into their phone, help me understand what they're saying, explain it simply, give me a quick follow-up so I can talk to my doctor while they're scrambling before they run to their next room. Here's a few quick questions I have. So yes, AI can attempt to analyze your data. Again, it's not necessarily something I would completely trust, but maybe as a starting point, giving me some talking points as I navigate a doctor's appointment. Showcase of healthcare. Okay, AI for career navigation. So great website here. Can someone let me know where they're from?
South Carolina,
South Carolina. Where in South Carolina?
Myrtle Beach,
Myrtle Beach. Good golf, huh?
wouldn't.
I wouldn't know. Okay, not the
Good
exact.
mini golf.
Good mini golf. Not the exact website I was looking for. Gonna skip this for the sake of time, but I do have a job posting here. Anyone use LinkedIn job alerts? Gosh, what a useful tool for adult learners. Like you can set all these filters, have it email you daily. Anytime a job pops up in your region that matches all of your criteria, set up multiple alerts. This is one of the first things I do in workforce development classes is show LinkedIn job board and alerts because you can just get automated alerts every time a job is posted that matches. Okay, so I'm going to grab this, copy it, again, pop over to ChatGPT, put it in triple quotes, and ask it a few questions. So, for example, what key skills are needed to succeed in this position? What digital skills? What 5 interview questions should I anticipate for this job? And I've given it the job posting. Here's a breakdown of what you want to prepare for. Okay, here are the key skills. Key digital skills. Sometimes we're not entirely sure what to teach in our classroom, so why not align the digital skills? We can't teach everything. Time with students is scarce. So if a student's looking for this role, and obviously this is, you know, a job that I have on my job board, here are the digital skills you want. Here are 5 interview questions to prepare for. Maybe then I ask ChatGPT to generate responses to those. Then I review and edit them. I practice with a neighbor in my classroom. I can find jobs board data and kind of tweak it from there. Anyone else have a follow-up question that I could use here? Or an extension of this activity, for example?
Like you said, what would be the appropriate responses for those folks?
Mhm.
I asked it to be both.
What would be the appropriate responses?
Can even ask it to tailor your resume towards it.
Nice. How about we ask it to tailor our resume? So here's my resume. Here's my resume. What changes should I make to better align with this job posting? So put in my resume, wrapped it in triple quotes. Obviously, I am a project manager, so my resume already fits this decently well, but maybe some edits I would make. Here's some content I could copy and paste over if I like it. Some feedback on it. So as I look at a tool like this, I feel like there's like a 2-week unit we could do on this, which is how to use LinkedIn to find active jobs in my area, how to then craft my resume and cover letter, how to prepare for an interview, go back and forth in all sorts of peer review settings. Students put it in Google Docs, and then they can comment on each other's resumes and cover letters, draft it on their own, draft it with ChatGPT. Yeah, please.
I asked it to also include applicant tracking system keywords.
Nice. Never done that one.
Well, I have a question. What's triple quote?
While I'm typing that prompt, anyone got a response to that?
Quotes. I don't know those.
Yeah, anyone got a response to that while I'm typing this prompt?
Yeah.
That's an awesome one. Never used that one before.
I asked it to embed them in the resume.
Just embed it directly.
Letter. They're there in the box. At the very end, it gives you what was there.
Yeah, so applicant tracking systems automatically scan looking for keywords and filter out applicants before a human sees it. So this very useful suggestion is, what are the keywords? Please put those into my resume and cover letter to try to game the system a little bit. Yeah.
If I could just briefly revisit the healthcare example.
Yeah.
And you are using like your account, right, and entering that. I was not aware of this chat.com where you don't have to log in, so I'm just wondering if maybe that would be something we would suggest to our students for examples like that. Because again, I don't really think we want to be connecting
It's
Joey with his health information that's now online, right?
It's up to you. I think there's probably 35 different opinions in this room in response to that question. In our longer workshops, we do open up questions about like data privacy, bias, and questions about that. Today's workshop is very much just like, hey, you're a teacher, you're an administrator, you're a career navigator. Here's how you can get started today. So I do think those questions are important, and I do have my opinion on it, but I wouldn't suggest it's the only or the right opinion. And let's hang out after and we can debate that one. Okay, next showcase. See how we're doing on time. Okay, so anybody heard of Notebook LM? This is a tool from Google. Just to very briefly show you what it looks like to start a new notebook. You select create new. And what's very cool about Notebook is it can aggregate multiple sources, and then you can use plain text queries like we were just doing with ChatGPT to talk about them. So for example, maybe as a program administrator, you want to upload lesson plans, CCRS standards, teacher evaluations. As you can see, I can put in Google Docs, Google Slides. I can put in a link to a YouTube video and talk to it. I can put in websites, just plain text. Once you've created it, I have two sources here right now. There's just 2 Wikipedia articles in this one that I created. You can obviously create any number of sources that you want to put in there, whether it's your own content or content from the internet, and then have it generate a study guide or a timeline or a mind map or an FAQ. The feature I really like though, is that once your sources are input, you can create a podcast. It will take about 5 minutes to generate it, but here's the podcast it created comparing Austrian and Keynesian economics.
And try to turn it into understanding.
Quickly.
Quickly, yeah.
Exactly.
As fast as possible.
You send in those topics.
We unpack them.
Yeah, the essential knowledge that you need.
Exactly.
So today,
You wanted to know.
you wanted to know about
2 big ones.
2 big schools of economic thought, Austrian and Keynesian.
Yeah, big hitters.
We've got excerpts from their Wikipedia pages.
A good starting point.
Yeah, and we want to try to give you a clear handle on
Maybe some tick.
Yeah, where they agree.
More importantly, where they disagree.
Where they clash.
Exactly.
Yes.
We're going to delve into the historical roots of each school.
It's a 25-minute podcast, so we're not going to listen to all of it right now. But like, this is one I want you to think about from a student's perspective. How could students use this in a way that like, hey, here's an article, here's a lesson from a textbook, here's a YouTube video. They put all the content into the notebook. And of course, like I said, you can chat with it. You can ask it questions about the sources. It very quickly studies all of the sources. Then it can generate that podcast or FAQ or study plan. So just to show you one of those examples, here's a study guide. It's a clean outline comparing the difference between Austrian and Keynesian economics. Here's the FAQ. Here are some common questions people ask about these two. Here's the mind map it created. Economic schools of thought. Austrian breaks it down even further. Now it's starting to generate additional content. So when I look at this, I'm just like, very useful for me as a project manager, is I can have a lot of sources in there, but I wonder, how could this be used in a classroom with students creating their own study materials, querying it, sharing their notebooks with each other? So curious to hear reactions from that. I want to get through one more activity though. This is typically a 2 to 4 hour or multi-week workshop. And so happy to hang out after and chat a little more. Okay. Very curious, as you all think about your intake process, what's the emotional feeling you want students to have in one word? Easy, inspired, fast, motivated, secure. How many of you work in WIOA programs? There are obviously very specific rules for what happens in WIOA intake processes. Having worked at a community college for 15 years, 12 years, whatever, as an administrator, given those requirements, I find it very challenging to accomplish those goals. Easy, fast, inspired. I mean, there's just so many steps. So when I think about intake, it's like, oh, I cut out a slide here. There's orientation, there's testing, there's paperwork, there's documentation they need to give to me, there's scheduling. Like from the moment a student is interested in my program to day 1 of classes is typically weeks, months, waiting in lines. I worked in a pretty large program when I was at a WIOA college. We served 2,000 to 3,000 students a year. It was a challenging process. So what I want you to do is take out your phone. Those of you that are online, I'll put this link into the chat. Imagine you're a student and you are interested in enrolling at this school. Again, in the spirit of time, probably take 2 minutes. Just browse around. Try the various pages, click on different links. If you want to open the registration form and submit it with an email address, check your inbox, see what that email looks like. As you browse, just kind of think about your own intake process. What do you like about this one? What doesn't look so useful about this one? What might you want to adapt for your own intake process? So take 2 minutes, browse that website, click on as much as you can, then we'll come back together. All right.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Do not like it. Take 1 more minute. Now you have this website too. You can explore it later today as well. It will schedule an appointment. I will not show up for it. Somebody online wants to know if this music is generated by AI. It's not. So again, in the actual workshop, this would be a much longer activity, but I'm sure some of you were able to see that there's a few different resources. There's the website, there's an infographic or an application form, a YouTube playlist, a quiz, and a Calendly. If you didn't get to all of those resources, that's okay. Feel free to continue exploring after. As a quick tour, 4 out of 5 of those were built with ChatGPT. So we're talking about building an intake process, a multilingual intake process. That website and all those resources probably took me an hour to build. So programs that are thinking about how do we digitize intake. So for example, like when a student finds your website and is interested, how can we help engage them in that moment? That's when they're ready. That's when they're engaged. It's not like, hey, come to a registration 2 weeks from now. They can submit a form and now they can browse an orientation playlist. They can read our FAQ. They can try a quiz, a little bit of content to keep them engaged. A day later, they'll get an automatic email listing these resources. Majority of that content was written with ChatGPT. This is the kind of thing that would have taken me weeks to build in the past. I built that whole thing in an hour. It's not perfect. There's obviously lots of ways that I would tweak it to try to improve it and build it, make it better over time. But for programs looking to get some content, get a Google site, Stan, all of the resources built with that are free. None of those tools are paid tools. So what does that mean for how we can establish an online presence, let the community know about what services are available? And again, maybe there's a student that works 2nd or 3rd shift. They get home, they're browsing online, they find the program, they're interested in enrolling. There's content there now that they can get started, get oriented to the program, because it's intimidating to come back to school. So any amount of information we can put out there to help engage them at that point of contact, even though we're going to follow up later on, we're going to send them emails and text and encourage them to come in to meet with us, here's a way to get started engaging them online with some low stakes information to help kind of reduce that anxiety as best we can. Okay, I want to make sure we have time for questions. I will show AI image generators in a minute, but I'm going to get that working in the background. At this point, I would then bring everyone back together. We've done all of these activities. Let's revisit that first question. What could an AI do? Did it surprise you anyways? What was it capable of doing that you weren't sure of when we started the session? And then we would open up for a conversation and allow people to comment. And then we conclude AI going forward. Some quick tips. First of all, replace Google for a week. Every time you think about going to Google, go to AI instead. ChatGPT, Cloud, take your pick. If you haven't heard of Perplexity, Perplexity has functionally replaced Google for me because, just to show you an example real quick, Perplexity. Very nice thing about Perplexity. First of all, it's constantly scanning the internet, so you can get basically current information. But what I really like about Perplexity compared to the others is it embeds sources. So it's similar to Google search, but instead of having to open up 15 tabs, I just get an answer right here. But if I want to follow up, it's got sources embedded directly in it. So students, staff, whoever can go out and verify the information if they want. So if you're looking for a simple starting point, try replacing Google. Every time you think about Google for the next week, go to Perplexity, go to chat.com, take your pick. Also, try different chatbots. Like today, we looked at ChatGPT, NotebookLM, and Perplexity. There are so many tools, new ones coming out every day. Try different ones, see what you learn from the experience. Remember, it's not about being perfect. Just give them a try, see what you learn, keep figuring out as you go. And I very much encourage people, and I welcome disagreement on this, try it with students. Be co-learners. We're in the classroom figuring this out together. You're going to query, I'm going to query, and we're going to talk about what we learned from the experience. I very much, in an actual workshop, welcome disagreement on that. There are lots of people we've worked with over the last 2 years that are like, no, there's no way I would introduce AI. That's okay. Like, I disagree with that, but it's just my opinion. Like, you all know your teachers better, or your students better than I do. So I'm not here to tell you what's right and wrong with that. I'm here to showcase what's possible and trust that you all are informed people with agency that can make your own decisions. We then share a resource hub. If you scan that, I think it'll take you to a workshop we did in ROI, and you're welcome to check it out. I just wanted to showcase what we do at the end of our workshops. It's got links to articles and podcasts and online academies, prompt libraries, things like that. So this deck will be in Whova. You're welcome to check that out after as well. So very briefly, again, I just want to talk about our theory of action. So people are busy, they're focused on short-term challenge. So for example, we did sprints, right? There were 4 sprints. You tried different prompts. That could solve a problem today. It gets people in ChatGPT or in an AI tool, it gets them trying them. These tools are changing fast. So notice that we didn't worry about formulas today. Just jump in there and try it. Nurtures that kind of exploratory, curious mindset. Educators have diverse needs. AI use isn't one size fits all. That's why we do a lot of peer conversations, talk to each other. How did you use it? What did you learn? What did you like? Many educators are skeptical about AI. That's why I do that intake website, just to show like, hey, this can solve problems today. So if you're uncertain of what it can do, here's an example that you can experience yourself of what it can do. New tools are intimidating. We create prompts for people, low stakes, talk to your enablers, learn from the experience. And then it's a lifelong learning process. And so we create a resource hub. Educators can contribute to that hub. So we're all kind of shared in this community learning process together. Most importantly, what I would emphasize is that we very much push against one-day workshops. We do think they can be inspiring, but like one-day workshops are not really backed by research. There is, however, a lot of research showing sustained duration, PD, is what leads to meaningful change in teacher behaviors. And that is kind of obvious. Like if you go to a one-day workshop, you get excited, but then you just get kind of swept up in the day-to-day. So we very much encourage people to lead cohorts that are sustained over a couple months. We've done this in a number of states where it's like 1 hour a week, combination of synchronous and asynchronous. So if you're curious to talk about what that would look like, we'd be happy to do a 1-day online workshop. It can be an hour, 4 hours. We can do multiple week cohorts. But like I said, we've been doing this for a couple of years now. And essentially what we've learned is that it's critical to just get teachers trying things, get them talking to each other, and very much emphasize that like we're not here to be experts. We're here to learn alongside everybody. So we curate resources, we provide coaching, and then create that kind of peer learning environment. People that have taken our courses say they're saving a couple hours a week just from skills learned in that cohort. That to me is a win, because like 2 hours a week saved is 2 hours a week that I can spend building relationships with students. And like every adult educator is busy putting out fires. And so the number one goal we have in our class is like, how can we help people save time? You're welcome to look at kind of the quotes and testimonials later on, but we'd be excited to explore ways to work together. If you want to collaborate, bring a workshop like this to your state or to your program. We do have a newsletter. We send it out once a month, if I remember. We put in just like AI resources and prompts and things like that. So feel free to sign up. If you don't like the newsletter, unsubscribe. I actually emphasize that because like part of that lifelong learning that we nurture in our workshops is like, there are so many amazing free newsletters and podcasts and learning resources out there. So I am constantly signing up for newsletters, and I give it 2 weeks. If I don't like it, I unsubscribe and try a new one, listening to different podcasts, like modeling this kind of lifelong learning mindset for our teachers and for students, because there's such great content out there. Getting on social media to find that content and learning from peers around the country. So I have one session tomorrow. If you want to come check it out. This one's about EdTech tips for program directors and administrators. We will also be doing a little bit of AI in that session, of course. It's 11:50 a.m. You can just look me up in the Whova app. And this is still that newsletter sign up. I have cards up here if anybody wants to grab it. You can also see my email address at the bottom. Questions, comments, reactions?
I get one comment. If you're intimidated by messing with it in general, pick something you really love, like baseball or something, and just get in there and mess with it with that, and then you'll get the idea how to use it, and then you can switch over to doing something useful.
I kind of want to add to him, my son used to take his draft for, fantasy football, and he won $50 from his friend.
Other questions, reactions?
Using the paid versions up there.
I do use a paid version of ChatGPT.
Can you speak to like, I use the free version, what are the major differences?
At this point, level of access to like deeper tools, like you can do better image generation, you get more prompts, but like for the majority of adult educators and adult learners, a free account is going to get you as far as you need to go. I just constantly use AI for a lot of deep research and things like that. So the deeper queries. So for example, if anybody wants to see, what I'm about to show you is completely free. So I already ran this prompt. This is Google Gemini's deep research. It's free. If you haven't tried it yet, go do it. It's going to run a deep research prompt for you that takes, no joke, 20 minutes to run and generate a deep report. So the prompt I gave it was, I teach adult learners in Rhode Island. That's not true. I live in Kentucky, but we are doing a workshop in Rhode Island. They're looking for entry-level jobs. What industries are growing? What training programs exist that align with those growing industries? What certifications are needed? What's the cost of training programs? What are the admission requirements? Like this is deep research that would require, and when I watched it run this prompt, it opened 97 different websites, Bureau of Labor Statistics, LinkedIn, job boards, community college websites. So instead of me opening 97 tabs, this AI agent does it for me and aggregates and look. So here's the full report here, but you can export it to Google Docs. Executive summary. Well, let me first showcase that this report is 19 pages long with citations, which includes, like I said before, okay, 76 citations. And these are like federal, state, community college, like legit websites. And my favorite part about this is like, here are active training programs in the area. Here are the admission requirements. Here's how much it's going to cost. Here are the kind of certifications you're going to need. This is completely free. Google Gemini, deep research. I'll show you very quickly what it looks like. Open up a new prompt, and right here, if you turn on deep research, And I said, I live in Rhode Island, help me find certifications and entry programs in growing industries in this region for adult learners. Like, how cool could it be to run this prompt with students and then spend 2 weeks breaking it down together, going to the different sites, verifying the data. So it was a long-winded answer to your question. The free version gives you like 5 of these a month. With paid versions, you get more. You get more image generations. But like for most people, the free account is going to get you pretty far.
What do you usually run like $20 a month for just the lowest tier of paid?
Uh,
I pay 20 for chat.
On Gemini, I think it's 20 a month for their advanced. On ChatGPT, there's a $10 tier and a $200 tier.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, got cards up here, contact information. Thank you all for being willing to learn with us today. It's been fun getting to know you. Have a good conference.